You are listening to Artist on Art, and I have the great pleasure of speaking with Jesse Fulton today. Jesse, thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Jesse is a very interesting type artist, as of course all of my guests are. But he's particularly interesting because I don't think I've talked to other people about your medium, what you use as an artist. But let me just fill in our lovely guests. Jesse Fulton works with data and information as his art medium. So he's not using paint and spreading it around with the brush. He's actually using data and information. And I'm really excited to be able to talk to you about this. Jesse's going to be a part of an exhibition called I've Got What's on Your Mind, which is the Digital Arts and New Media Masters of Fine Arts graduating exhibition. And his installation, now you have two different things, right?
Yeah.
Two different projects. And will they be in the same installation, or do you have two different installations? How are you doing this?
There's actually going to be kind of a couple different pieces, but all in the same area.
Okay, so this will be in the dark. The show begins April 28th. That's the first weekend and 29th. And then the next weekend, May 4th through 6th. And the big party reception is May 4th. I've got something on your mind. I've had the pleasure of speaking with nearly everyone in your cohort, Jesse. This is the end of our Dynamite series. It's been going on for a couple months now. Next week, I'll have Soraya Murray on, who is the curator of the exhibition. And in the meantime, if you missed any of the other Dynamites, I've got, I think, more than half of them up right now at artistonart.com. And of course, Jesse will be there as well. We're doing video, we're doing audio, so you'll be able to make sure and get everything that we're talking about. So Jesse Fulton has been doing computer science. You got your undergraduate in computer science.
Yep.
As well as psychology, and that was from the Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore, and then you went on and got your master's in arts and sciences, or
No. After that, I just worked for a while.
Oh, you just worked. He had fun. He freelanced. He got to go to L.A.
Exactly.
Did you grow up on the East Coast?
I grew up in the suburb of Boston.
So you're from the East Coast, and now are you a Californian now?
Don't tell my mom that, but yeah, I've been living in California for like 7 years now, I think.
7 years, and you want to stay, huh?
For a little while. I'm here for a little bit longer, I know.
Okay. All right. So he's not ours completely, folks, but he is staying around, and you're about to finish again your 2 years work for your Master's in Fine Arts in Digital Arts and New Media. Prior to coming back to school, though, you worked at Disney?
I did.
What did you do with Disney? How interesting is that?
It wasn't like a super exciting. I didn't get to ride the roller coasters all the time. I was actually a web developer for them and was working for their parks and resorts division. So I was kind of like in charge of the Disneyland.com website and some of its affiliated websites for a while.
So this is how you use a psychology degree, huh? You make websites for Disney.
Yeah, with the psychology degree, I think you either have the option of going for like a master's or PhD or doing something completely unrelated. But it's
all
it's
related.
good knowledge.
It's all psychology. You gotta know how to deal with people, especially when you're making websites and you want people to actually use the website.
And when you're freelancing. It's good skill to have.
I bet. Not to just get the job, but to work with the clients. So you're exploring the digital world, the digital life worlds.
Yeah, that's what I'm calling it.
What does that mean?
So, well, I guess what one of my projects is really dealing with is what I'm calling the digital life worlds that are presented to you through things like Google search or Facebook. And really the idea is that we all kind of have different experiences online because we're shown different information. And I actually believe Daniel Christopher was on your show a couple of weeks ago.
That's right.
Sort of mentioned this idea of like personalization. And what that basically is if you go to a online store like Amazon, they're going to sort of market different products to you based upon what you've searched for in the past or what you've purchased in the past.
And how they've got you as your demographic.
Yeah,
Are you an older white woman? Or are you a younger...
So they make decisions based upon the information you provide them, like when you're signing up, if you say, I'm an older white woman. Or they also track your behaviors through the site and build like a kind of persona around you based
Google
upon...
does. Google.
A lot of different things do. My project is focused on Google. So, and the interesting thing with Google is that they're not just analyzing like your search results and the things you click on. They're actually tracking you from site to site, because a lot of sites use Google, I think it's called Google AdSense or AdWords, their advertising platform. And they have little cookies on there that sort of track your navigation through the web.
Now, I don't know, do you even need the AdSense? Because there's Google Analytics, which is watching...
It does the same thing, yeah.
Yeah, and obviously there's some cookies involved, but I don't know if it just has to be with the Google AdSense.
Pretty much any of their, either one of those services will sort of track you, even if you don't think you're on a Google site. If you're on some totally unrelated site and they have AdSense or Google Analytics, then Google knows where you are.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the digital life world. Yeah,
and the life world is sort of, basically the idea would be if you and I have totally different browsing behaviors or interests, and, we perform different searches or the same search, there's a pretty good chance that we'll be presented with different results in our search queries.
Oh, most certainly.
If we're different enough,
Well... Yeah. Just looking at you, it looks like we're pretty different. Although we're both digital artists, but
right.
There's a lot of other things that I think would make you... I'm sure you don't get all the wrinkle cream advertisements that I do.
I don't think so. I have recently been getting a lot of advertisements in Spanish, which I'm not sure why. I don't speak Spanish. I can kind of understand it, but it's...
I get a lot. This drives me crazy for diet, weight loss, and for facial cream. You're listening to Artist on Art. I have the great pleasure of speaking with Jesse Fulton, a artist, I like to say data and information artist. So how does your analyzing how Google is tracking me and personalizing my search results, how is that art, Jesse?
Oh, the $1 million question.
It is the $1 million question. Aren't you writing a thesis about this? You got to prove it.
I know.
You got your thesis there?
Yeah, almost. Tell my committee that. So how is it art? Honestly, I think before answering that, you kind of have to define what art is. And unless you want to spend the next however 20 minutes or however long discussing that, it can go down that rabbit hole.
Right, and we are talking about conceptual artists, right?
Yeah,
because, traditional art is pretty obvious. There's an object that we're talking about. Where here, you're talking about a program, really. Yeah,
definitely. And, my medium is, you could say information or data. I would say code and software. And I'm really kind of... with this project, I'm really looking at the process of sort of building these different models of users as opposed to necessarily the end result. I think both are interesting. But really for me, for this project, the work itself is the code and the algorithms and that part of it. But it will be, there will be sort of like visualizations to make it aesthetically pleasing and engaging,
Well, I know, having asked this question directly to Soraya Murray, our mutual professor, she was like, "Hey, why even ask the question? That's not really the question. The question is it your intention to be making art?"
Right.
And you would say that is your intention is through building these personas. Would you call that?
Yeah.
But what I think is interesting, before we came to talk on the radio, Jesse, is that you mentioned that information and data artists actually have a connotation that you're not involved with. It's not about data visualization. It's not about mapping the connections between data bits or the World Wide Web. How is that connected when you search and seeing these beautiful lines and how they intersect each other and maybe the popularity of those intersections and that kind of thing. So tell us how is this process emerging as your art? Am I asking that right?
I think so.
Okay.
Well, I mean, first of all, just to kind of clarify the data visualization thing, that whole area,
which is a big deal.
Yeah, no, it's great, and there's definitely value to that.
The more and more data we have, we got to be able to visualize it to understand it. In a lot of ways, that's what the visualization is supposed to do, is to help you understand the data and how it comes together and where are the patterns and that kind of thing. Right.
And kind of going back on, is it art? And, is all data visualization, I wouldn't consider art. Some of it, definitely. Some of it's just, a pretty picture.
Them's fighting words, Jesse. If I was a data visual artist.
To each his own.
To each his own, exactly.
But yeah, I'm kind of, I think I have a slightly different idea of what art is and what constitutes art than maybe most people. So, I am very into conceptual art and your non-traditional forms of art. And I sort of view this as more of a conceptual piece in a sense, but something that you can still engage with and still interact with. It's the piece at the MFA show is basically just going to be on a monitor, visualizations, no interaction. But the actual project is going to live on the web, on a website. You can go and check it out, read about it, see what's going on, and sort of watch or monitor these processes in real time.
And this is Everybody's Google.
Yes.
So the name of the project, folks, is Everybody's Google. And do you have everybody'sgoogle.com, or how are they going to find it?
I'm pretty sure I do. Yeah, it's not set up yet. Right now it's just running on one of the Danum servers and have to point URLs to machines and all that magic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's fun. Jesse Fulton, but I'll find out and I'll have that link for sure on Artist on Art website. Now, your other project is called Ocular Character Recognition.
Yes.
And tell us about this project.
So this one, I think this is kind of a little bit, maybe lighthearted is the wrong word, but it's a little bit more playful. And a little bit, I think, maybe less serious, I guess. So before I get into that project, I'll briefly describe what optical character recognition is. And optical character recognition is basically software algorithms that are used to basically turn physical paper documents into machine text, right? So if you scan in a PDF, it's just an image. And then if you want to actually highlight the text and pull that out, you would run OCR, or optical character recognition, and that sort of reads the text on the image. And this is all done, through computer vision algorithms. So I think that's really interesting, kind of taking these physical artifacts and these physical documents and sort of transforming them into this data that can be crawled and indexed and searched by these computers. And, I'm kind of almost reversing that process through what I'm calling kind of the umbrella term ocular character recognition. It's a sort of, it's an umbrella term for a few different projects. And what I'm doing is taking those digital text documents that the machines can read and, they're parsing and they can understand, and sort of obfuscating the text using algorithms that make it totally unreadable to the machine, right? So the OCR won't work anymore, but the human eye can still decipher it. So, do you know what a CAPTCHA is?
Yes.
Okay. Or for
let's tell our audience,
what is a CAPTCHA? Who may not.
Yeah.
So when you sign up for, say, a website account, you're trying to post a comment on a blog or something, you'll get this little form that you have to fill out that has these two words, and one is pretty clear and one is really distorted, and they're a pain to figure out.
Especially when you're buying a concert ticket and you have seconds.
Yeah. You need to get the front row seats. So those are CAPTCHAs, and what those are actually doing is the word that's sort of obfuscated is a word that the machine knows already, and it's sort of testing if you can read that and decipher that word.
Because only a human can read it, or a primate of some type. I mean, but a computer will not be able to.
Right. Yeah, they've designed it so that, to prevent against what are called bots.
Right. And these are bots that crawl the internet and look for
just
ways.
try to spam forms.
All
and
kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, some can be malicious and some can be just for advertising or whatever. But basically, the CAPTCHA is helping the program make sure you're a human.
Exactly.
To go on. Because if you're a robot and you're buying those concert tickets, maybe you're just trying to buy the last 100 Coachella tickets that are available so that you can sell it for like $10,000 each. And then and then the poor hippie folk like us who only have $100 can't buy it.
No, I wish I'd gone to Coachella. Anyways.
Now, when you first said ocular recognition, naturally the first thing I thought was those little things that can look at your optical, at your eyeball, and know that it's you. So you don't have to use a key or anything.
Yeah.
No, but anyways. That's an optical, I guess. Optical character. Optical recognition.
Yeah, that's kind of the play on words, right? The optical sort of stresses like the light and the lenses, and that's the term for the computer algorithms, whereas ocular sort of places the focus back on the human eye. So anyways, back to the CAPTCHAs. So what they're actually doing is, so they test you with the obfuscated word, and then the second word is one it's actually a word that the computer algorithms couldn't figure out. So this would hook into, like, say, Google Book Project, right? They're scanning every book in existence they're trying to do.
They are.
And they need to translate that so they can then index it and crawl it and make it searchable. And what you're doing when you fill out one of these CAPTCHA forms is actually helping Google translate these books and figuring out the words that the computer algorithms couldn't figure out.
Wow.
So in that sense, they're taking basically like this free human labor and using it to create this giant massive data that then they can use to, make their search results more relevant, blah, 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 bring more people in, make more money, grow their business. So what I'm doing is basically taking these documents, like scanned ebooks or even websites, and sort of reversing the process and taking all of the machine-readable text, so the things that can be identified, and then obfuscating them in the same style that a CAPTCHA does, specifically so the machine can no longer read it. So, kind of taking that machine-readable document and transforming it into,
an only human-readable document.
Yeah, and one of the projects.
Take that, computers.
So, and one of the pieces that will be shown is called Web Pages for Humans, which is basically I'm gonna create.
They're only for humans. Only humans can read them.
Yeah, and they're gonna be prints, so they only exist in the physical form too.
Ooh, you're just flipping everything on its head there, Jesse Fulton.
It's playful.
So Jesse, again, is a graduating Dynamite. That's a digital artist and new media student. They're about to graduate with a 2-year program. It's a master's in fine arts where you have to create a project. And Jesse's projects are going to be Everybody's Google and Ocular Character Recognition. You also have to write a thesis. Mm-hmm. And then you also have to do a group project.
Yes, the research groups.
Yeah, tell us about your research group. What was that?
So I was in the mechatronics research group. We finished up in the fall. So it's a year-long research group. I was working with another member from my cohort, Emily Martinez, and Levi Goldman, who graduated last year, actually hopped on board with us for a little while too. And we worked with Dean Yeager, Dean of the Arts. He was the leader of the group. And we basically, our research really focused around asthma and air quality. And we had a couple different projects that, I made sort of a interactive touchscreen table kind of device for kind of telling the story of asthmatic children, growing up in inner cities or something. And we also made a drawing machine, which was actually shown at the Museum of Art and History downtown last October or September, I think.
And so these art projects, we're taking your research on asthma and creating a visual narrative in some way, or some interactive object. Was it like a React table that you built, or?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's
it was a Reactable, but instead of using like the Reactable software, I kind of wrote my own processing sketches to make it more of like it was basically an interface for video.
Super cool, Jesse Fulton. The Everybody's Google and Ocular character recognition will be available to play with and to see, or not play with. You won't be able to play with it until later, but you'll be able to see both of these projects April 28th and 29th. That's the end of this month. And then May 4th through 6th. May 4th is the reception. That's going to be going on from 5:30 to 8 or 9 o'clock. And the name of the exhibition is called I've Got Something on Your Mind. Gallery hours, the rest of the time, other than the reception, is 10 to 4. And the whole thing is going to be at the Digital Arts and Research Center, which is near the music department and in front of the art and theater department, depending on which way you're looking at. We just have a minute, Jesse. Tell me about internet access to information, and why are you concerned about it, or what is it that you're thinking about with that? I know it's a big thing.
In a minute.
I know.
All right.
Give it to me quick.
Well, I think with as technology becomes more accessible and ubiquitous, we're engaging a lot more through the digital, and I'm really more interested in access to information, and getting, like, when it comes to like political research or research in general, we're going to the Wikipedia or Google search instead of the library, or like a parent or a friend or a relative or something. And in that sense, I think it's really, really important to be aware of these algorithms that are used to present this information to you,
that are personalizing your search results.
Yeah, and even without personalization, just like, why does Google rank these articles the way they do, as opposed to some alternative method that might be more intuitive or more democratic, or equally represent everything that's out there.
All right. Ooh, Jesse, you did it. Hey, listen, thanks a lot. You've been listening to Artist on Art. We're coming to the end of our project, our program today. And again, if you missed any part of it, you're going to have it available at artistonart.com. Jesse, I wish you the best of luck, and I hope I get to interview you again in the future and talk about this really interesting, semi-new art, information and data art, and I can't wait to see your work.
All right, great. Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey, my pleasure. Jesse Fulton, please stay tuned for Gamers on Game, and sit back and relax for just a minute or so here.